Welcome back to another video, YouTube. Went ahead and did some things between videos, so we are back with a game of Turnabouts. And it seems the bloody knife is not the murder weapon. Court is back in session for the trial of Phoenix Wright. Prosecutor Gavin, your report. I must admit that our witnesses' actions have thrown a wrench into things. It's just as we had deduced. This knife was found hidden in the library after a bit of direction from Herr Forza. As you can see, it is covered in what appears to be bloodstains, but before you get too excited, I should tell you that this is just red paint, which means that that was the knife that was in the study. Or in other words, Mr. Strider's recreation of the murder weapon from 3 years ago. Furthermore, an investigation of the dining room revealed that one of the pieces that had been set was missing the very same type of steak knife that was found at the crime scene, which means that the real murder weapon came from the dining room, not the study. Very well, the court accepts this new information. Bloody knife notes updated in the court record. With that out of the way, let's talk about what all this means. Specifically about how this new information proves our witnesses' innocence. Say what now? Previously, we assumed that the killer took the knife from the study upstairs and brought it into the next room to stab Herr Strater. But now we know that the killer would also need to enter the dining room in order to collect a knife from the table, the true murder weapon. As Herr Iving told us, nobody passed through the main hall at the time of the murder, which means that this witness had no opportunity to get his hands on the murder weapon. Oh no! You see? I told you I didn't do it! The only knife I touched was the one in the study, but that wasn't really the murder weapon. Which means that it would have to be Grace. But if nobody passed through the main hall to get to the dining room, then Mr. Wright couldn't have taken the knife either. Don't think that he can fool me, Fraulein. You and Herr Wright were in the dining room that night, weren't you? Yeah. I've witnessed testimony placing both of you there before the murder. That would have been during our investigation of the manor. It means that the witnesses he's talking about are Connor Iving and Grace Barr. They were in there together at that time. Herr Wright could have simply taken a knife when nobody was watching, and hidden it on his person until he was alone upstairs with the victim. Herr Iving was in the dining room the whole time until he went back into the main hall. And not once did he see the witness, clearing him of suspicion. Simple, yeah? 9. So, Mr. Forza really couldn't have killed the victim, which I'm afraid leaves the defendant as the only one who could have done it. This isn't good. It looks like I've gone back to being the only suspect. Now what do we do? Well, there's the one thing. You mean you found a way out of this? There's a possibility. Think about it. At the time of the murder, Connor Iving was in the main hall with you. That means that no one could have used the main staircase to reach the master bedroom. We proposed that the killer could have used the secret passage in the library instead. Gavin's response was that Ken Forza was in the library the whole time, meaning that nobody could have used the passage without him noticing. But Ken wasn't in the library the whole time, because he left for around 15 minutes to search the study. Exactly, for 15 whole minutes. Both the library and the upstairs hallway were totally empty. Which would mean... Your Honor, I'm going to need you to hold off on that verdict. Is there something you have to say, Miss Sykes? There's another possibility that we need to consider. Now that we know that the witness was not in the library the whole time, there could potentially be a different suspect in this case. Oh, who might that be? Connor and I were in the main hall. Ken and Mr. Wright were upstairs. which means the killer must have been inside this room immediately before the murder. The two people in the lounge, of course. As we've just heard, the witness wasn't in the library the entire time. It means... That means that the secret passage leading upstairs was unguarded at one point. Ah, yes, I suppose it was. But didn't we establish that nobody could have passed through the main hall at that time? If someone had attempted to reach the library, Miss Driving and yourself would have spotted them. Au contraire, Your Honor. All we need to do is take another look at the manor floor plan. While it's true that there is a door leading to the library in the main hall, there is actually a second door that leads from the lounge. In other words, somebody in the lounge could have reached the library without needing to pass through the main hall. Because the library was empty at the time, they would have had access to the crime scene. Ah, but who was in the lounge at that time? There were two people, actually. Ronald Barr, who was there since the game began, and his wife, Grace. She was with Iving for most of the night. They split up just before the murder. Grace went to the lounge while Iving stayed in the hall. In a nutshell, both Mr. and Mrs. Barr must be considered suspects. And only one of them was in the minor room. So that leaves Grace. Seriously? It was one of them? Very well, we should hear more about these potential suspects. Your thoughts, Prosecutor Gavin? If the crowd demands an encore, I am more than happy to oblige. Herr Barr is in the lobby. I had a feeling we might require his testimony at some point. He should be able to tell us about what he and his wife were up to at the time of the murder. On second thought, I'm not so sure that I want to hear about this. Bailiff, please bring Ronald Barr to the stand. Your name and occupation, please. Tisk. You're implying that everyone doesn't already know who I am. Let's pretend that we don't. It's just a formality. My name is Ronald Barr. I'm CEO of Barley. I would mean that the witness from before was your employee? That's right. We were both acquainted with Stratter through our work, as he has been a significant shareholder for quite some time. Herr Barr, do you know why you have been called to the stand? Not a clue. I've been in the prosecutor lobby this whole time. I see. In that case, let's allow the Fraulein over there to fill you in. Oh, no. Huh? You want me to tell him? You're the reason he was rotted here in the first place. It's only fair. Prosecutor Gavin might be cute, but there's only so much teasing that I can take. Well, I'd better just come out and say it. I think there's a possibility that you might be involved in the murder, Mr. Barr. You do, Huh. That was a more tame reaction than I expected from this guy. Well, did he see this coming? Yes, well, it's come to our attention that there was a point in time where the library was left empty. That means it was possible for someone in the lounge to reach the crime scene undetected. By entering the library through the south door and using the secret passage upstairs, that would make both you and your wife potential suspects in Stratter's murder. I see. Interesting. Come on, I put a lot of work into my presentation there. Give me something at least. Perhaps you could tell us about your movements on that night. That's all you need, then fine. I don't like that smile of his. Oh no. I'd be careful if I were you, Athena. Barr clearly has something up his sleeve. Yeah. I'm ready this time. Let's hear what he has to say for himself. Well, When the game first began, I went straight to the lounge. I had no reason to go wandering around the manor, so I remained there until around 9:50 p.m. Around 9:10, Grace entered the lounge from the main hall. We were together in that room the whole time. I don't think so. Yeah. So, kinda, maybe, I don't know. You see, that gives us both an alibi for the time of the murder. Okay. I see, you were in the lounge together for the entirety of the time window in which the victim could have been killed. That means that you can each vouch for the other's innocence. I should mention that Mrs. Barr gave the same story during her questioning yesterday. Their alibis check out. That's not good for us. I guess this explains why he was so confident earlier. This would leave myself and Ken as the only two people without alibis. But we've already proven that Ken couldn't be the killer, which leaves us in a sticky situation. Miss Sykes, please begin your cross-examination. Right. There's gotta be something I can do. If I can just find any small flaw in this testimony, there may still be a chance for us. Which means pressing. Gotta press. Okay. Yep. I already know this, but my lounge, if I might ask. You got a law degree with that kind of ignorance? I should think it was quite obvious when I went to the lounge. Only an absolute simpleton wouldn't know by now. I apologize for my ignorance. Please tell me why you went to the lounge. Well, obviously, because that's where the comfiest chairs are. Of course. How foolish me. Moving on. Well then. I had no reason to go wandering around the manor, so I remained there until around 9:50 p.m. You didn't leave the room once during the whole game? Not even going to the bathroom? Why would I need to go there? Why do you think? It's not like Strider was even serving any drinks, so... What about the cocktail glass you've been holding since 2 nights ago? The implication that he brought it from home? Weirdo. Anyway, I guess the main question I have to ask here is... Did Barr have any reason to leave the lounge that night? I mean, kinda... There we go. You had no reason to leave the lounge? I find that difficult to believe. After all, you had a pressing need to speak to the other guests in the manor. It makes you say that. The role you were given at the start of the game, the snoop. It required you to go out and find the roles of every other guest in that manor that night. Would you have done that if you were in the lounge all night? I'm positive that you would have left to speak with the other guests. Oh, do be quiet. As I told you that night, I had no intention of playing along with Strider's silly game. Surely you would have wanted to stop Strider from revealing the role. How would I let something like that bother me? Alright, Barr would have missed our discussion from earlier. In case, I'll just need to show him. You know the secret that Strider was holding against Barr? Barr was given the role of the snoop. Now that we know that the other guests' roles were alluding to some kind of secret about them, I think it's pretty clear what Ronald Barr's secret is. Wrong. Guess this? The Snoop's role was to gather information about the other guests. Strider wanted you to learn the roles of everyone else before the end of the game. But that's not all. There's no doubt in my mind that Strider was suggesting that you were the one behind the info leaks at Barlink. Oh well, of course. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't understand what this is about. As we know, Barlink is one of the biggest social networking sites around. Because of that, they had access to a huge wealth of personal information. Information that was being stored illegally by an unknown party. Oh my, how scary. You're saying the only The one behind it all was none other than the CEO himself. It wouldn't be surprising in reality either. That's a bold claim to make when the only thing you have is that vague message. Are you really going to deny the similarities between this incident and the role you were given? You still have no evidence that I had anything to hide. Perhaps he doesn't, but Strider certainly did. Because just like the documents on the stolen money, Strider was holding a report that directly accuses you of the scandal at Farland. What? Wow. This will be bad for business. So I was right. Strider was blackmailing you just as he was with the other guests. Humph. If I could ask a question, how did Strider get this information in the first place? Who wrote that report? You don't know by now? That's surprising after all. You heard about Strider's daughter, didn't you? Isla? What about her? This young Fraulein was working inside Barlink as a business journalist. I don't think that she was doing this purely out of an academic interest. Rather, she was there to root out the corruption in the company her family was so invested in. She was there to investigate the scandal, the information leaks, the missing money, and some even more personal information. It was all written in this report she gave to her father. All this was backed with evidence taken from the company. The financial reports that Herr Ivan had tampered with. The series of emails sent from Ronald Barr's address that proved his illicit dealings. She gathered it all herself from inside the company. No way. Is that the reason that Isla was murdered 3 years ago? What? It appears you understand. Yeah, I believe that this is why. She had incriminating evidence concerning each of these guests. Then each one of them would have a motive for her murder. Oh my! Ken would have been the only exception. He didn't work at Barlink after all. But Strider still considered him a suspect because he knew about that missing letter from Isla. All the pieces fall into place. Without a doubt, the killer from 3 years ago was one of the 3 guests in this game. However, we're not currently here to discuss that matter. Who murdered Strider? That's why we're here. Right, and thanks to that report that you showed us, we know that the witness also had a motive for this murder. What do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Barr? Heh. He's got that confident look again. What now? I had a motive to kill Strider? You're sadly mistaken. Listen here, I didn't need to kill anyone, because I had already completed the goal I was given in the game. This argument again? So you really did go elsewhere in the manor that night? Not at all. I still maintain that I was in the lounge the entire time. How were you able to learn the roles of the other guests if you didn't speak to them? You want to hear about it? Very well. The first role I learned was yours, Miss Sykes. I'm sure I don't need to remind you about our little exchange. That was when we first met in the lounge. Yep, just going to grab it. Just took it, pretty much. So that was why you snatched the envelope off of me back then. I heard Strider saying that you and Mr. Wright shared your role. I left 3 roles for me to uncover. Next was when Grace first entered the library. There you are, darling. The library lounge. You and Connor haven't speak for quite a while. Yes, well, we were just catching up. I see you're still holding onto your envelope there. I don't suppose you would mind if I took a look at it. But wait, you can't. Nonsense. Give it here. The structures. What is this supposed to be? It's just a game. It doesn't mean anything. So my suspicions are correct. The envelope mentions the thief. Judging from where you've been, I take it that's Connor. Yes, Connor is the thief. Which means he found that out, and then should have known. Seems I can't trust anyone, can I? And from deduction, he probably figured out to Ken was. So, there you go. So, you knew that Mr. Irving was the one stealing the money all along? Suspected him for a while, yes. Once I realized the truth behind what started scheme really was, there was no doubt in my mind. What about your wife's role? Do you know what the seductress means? I'm under no obligation to talk about that with you. The point is that I learned both of their roles from Grace. That still leaves out Ken Ford's role. If you were in his lounge the entire time, how do you know what his info said? How's this? Deduction! Isn't that Sarah's written account? The one we found in the lounge? After learning the roles of the other three guests, I realized that their titles were the same as the ones used in his testimony. That's right. The thief, the seductress, the snoop, and the lover. They're all there. From there, it was a simple matter of elimination, yep. The lover was the only role remaining. He have belonged to that kid. I'd also realized by this point that our roles were meant to reference us personally. It would make sense that the boyfriend of Strider's daughter would be given that alias. Huh. I guess that all checks out. You'll recall that I have been in the prosecutor's office since the trial began. Ergo, had I not learned of Abrams' role on the night of the crime, I could not have recounted them all for you as I just did. In other words, my testimony proves that I completed the goal that Strider had gave to me. It means I had absolutely no motive to kill him. Oh no! Yeah, pretty much, Ken is the only one. That was a very clear explanation, witness. Well, Miss Sykes, anything to add? You've proven time and time again that someone who was able to complete their goal wouldn't have a motive to kill Strider. Does that mean this guy really had nothing to do with it? Oh, Jesus. There's no way I can buy that this easily. Athena, is right? What is it? Don't you think that we are getting too stuck on this one line of thinking? What do you mean? Barr completed his goal in the murder mystery. Therefore, he had no motive. Doesn't that sound a little simplistic? Maybe if this were a game, that explanation would be fine. But real life is very so simple. Wow. Would you look at that? I don't understand. That's been the basis for this entire case so far. Well, that's true, but just because there was no problem with it then, doesn't mean there can't be one now. Broken talk is right twice a day. You've heard that, right? Why don't we prove to Barr just how broken his explanation is? So, you're saying that there's another reason? Another reason for why Barr would want to Starter dead? We now know what Starter's murder mystery game truly was. Take a close look at the evidence and you might see what I mean. Something that would give Barr a reason to kill Strider. Something besides keeping his involvement in the Barlink scandal a secret. What else could Barr be hiding that would drive him that far? You're rating the sites. Do you take issue with the witnesses' claims or not? Get yourself together, Athena. It's now or never. Actually, there is one problem I have. I don't think that keeping the role a secret was the only reason this witness said for murder. Have more? You really enjoy finding meaning through the mud, don't you? Look over the evidence and the truth should reveal itself. The truth. It has to be... Hold up. Hold on. This one, probably. Oi, save. Thank you. Nope. Wrong. So, let's see here. Snoop stayed in the main hall for around 15 minutes. Following this, he had a short He then entered the library. Snoop! Well, frickin' Snoop is the one who murdered Island now. Maybe. Probably. Possibly. I don't know. Just looking at this, the Snoop went into the library. Nope. Not borrowing scandal, huh? I don't know. Maybe Grace? Ah, here we are. Looks like we're about to get right into the heart of this case. Or something else that the witness would have wanted to hide. Something that Strider would have revealed even if Barr had done exactly as his role told him. You're saying the witness was responsible for something even more than this scandal? You really can't help yourself from slandering my good name, can you? The murder! Good name? Don't make me laugh. Because you're the one responsible for this entire case. Explain yourself. Strider put his game together for one reason. Catch the killer. In other words, the one who killed his daughter 3 years ago. Wrong Barr. That killer is you, yep. As I expected. But I tried using this. I think I tried using this. Yeah, I tried using this. Nope. So, boom. Okay, good. So, you finally made the accusation that Herr Strider was waiting for. Wait just a minute. You can't claim something like that without evidence. I have evidence, huh? Strider's game provided me with all the proof I need to prove your guilt. And this is the evidence that implicates you in Isla's murder. The answer lies in Arcus Strider's testimony about the night of the crime. That paper that the victim left as evidence in the game, as Prosecutor Gavin told us earlier, this is a copy of the testimony that the victim gave the police about the night on which his daughter was killed. It tells us about the movements of the guests during the party 3 years ago. Ah. Isla's murder went unsolved for 3 years, because there was no solid evidence to implicate anyone of the guests. After all, the murder occurred in the city upstairs while everyone was downstairs. Strider only saw one person go upstairs. That was Ken, when he first discovered the body. But there was one thing that Strider, and by extension the police, were not aware of. The secret passage that connects the library with the upstairs hallway. I'm sorry? Did you say secret passage? No way. You sure you didn't know? There's a secret door behind a bookshelf that can be used to get to the upstairs hallway. You're joking, that can't be. Strider was a smart guy. I'm sure he realized at that point. But the killer must have used that passage to reach the study undetected. Only one person would have had access to the passage from downstairs. Not to mention, he didn't seem shocked when the secret passage was mentioned. As far as I know. So... the person who was by themselves in the library, you, Ronalbar, you were the only one. Ugh. Order, order. That's not good enough. After all, you said yourself that Strider saw that kid go upstairs before the body was found. Wouldn't that make him the more likely suspect? I don't think so. Strider's testimony says that Ken was only upstairs for a few minutes at most. I already know that he saw and hid this letter at that time. There's no way he could have also had enough time to murder Isla. Especially because the evidence shows that the killer got their hands covered in blood when she died. He couldn't hide evidence, kill the victim, and clean himself up all within a couple of minutes. Which means the murder must have occurred before Ken ever reached the scene. And you were the only one capable of doing that. Ah! What about Herr Iving? Herr Strider tells us that he was in the lounge at the time, which, as we've already said, would also give him access to the secret passage. He could get into the library without Herr Strider seeing him if he used the north door. Okay, I highly doubt that it was the case, because if this really was in the library the whole time as he claims, I'm sure he would have mentioned that seeing Ivan pass through and open the secret passageway. But how would this witness know about that passage's existence in the first place? It's not difficult to imagine that he stumbled upon it by accident. After all, I did the same thing myself when we were in the library. Right, the only reason Strider didn't know about it is because he was very rarely went in the library himself. How about it, witness? Tell us what really happened 3 years ago. Ugh. The murder mystery game, Arcus Strider's murder, and the death of Iris Strider 3 years ago. So, time for us to uncover the truth behind everything. And into part 2, yep. Well, see you in the next video, YouTube. Goodbye.